For years, Forza Horizon fans kept asking for the exact same thing, Japan. And honestly, it made perfect sense because Japan has one of the most recognizable car cultures on the planet. Tokyo roads, Tokyo highways, drifting, tuning, 3D icons. It almost feels like the country was designed for an open world racing game. So when Playground Games finally announced Forza Horizon 6 in Japan, this should have been the one. The Horizon game that brought everyone back. And at first, it looked like it was. On Steam, Horizon 6 peaked at more than 301,000 concurrent players, and it was a massive launch. But 3 months later, the average is closer to 21,000, and now that does not mean Forza lost 93% of its entire player base. Xbox and Game Pass aren't including those numbers, and every big game does lose players after launch. But that drop still raises a pretty obvious question. How did the Horizon game set in Japan lose this much momentum this quickly? The strange thing is that Horizon 6 didn't start with a bad idea. It started with probably the safest possible win Playground could have asked for. Japan has been requested for years, and this gives Horizon almost everything the series not yet. Tokyo is the biggest urban area the series has ever had, and the campaign was supposed to put more emphasis on actually earning your way into the Horizon Festival, instead of immediately treating you like the most important human being on Earth just because you successfully pressed the accelerator in the previous game. This time you arrive as a tourist. You qualify for the festival, earn the wristbands, and move into faster classes and eventually unlock Legend Island. And on paper, that fixes one of the biggest complaints people had with Horizon 5, which is progression, along with the dog shit map, but we're not gonna go into that today. And this is where Horizon 6 becomes frustrating because a lot of this stuff actually works. And I don't want to turn this into one of those videos where a game loses players and suddenly everything about it is secretly terrible, because Horizon 6 isn't terrible. The map is a huge upgrade over Mexico for me. Tokyo alone gives the world a density Horizon 5 was missing, and the contrast between the city, mountain roads, and rural areas makes just driving around more interesting. There are more than 550 cars launched, the setting up animations were updated, Forza area finally got some attention, window liveries are a thing, and there's new body kits inside the cars, but I was hoping for a little bit more when it comes to the customizations, if I'm being honest. And there's also Tokyo Battles, Horizon Play, and the wristband system at least tries to give the campaign more structure, and overall Steam reviews are still very positive, so clearly a lot of people are enjoying the game, and I am as well. And that's important because the problem with Horizon 6 isn't that Playground made a bad decision or a bad racing game. The problem is that after getting the setting everyone wanted, they made a better version of the same Horizon formula, when this was probably the best opportunity they will ever have to reinvent it. It didn't take very long for that honeymoon period to wear off because some of those problems were technical. Playground started to respond with the feedback almost immediately, and after a lot of fixes and months later updates are still fixing bugs and small progression issues, but bugs can be fixed. One of the most common criticisms I've seen is that the new progression system looks more meaningful than it actually feels. Wristbands sound like you're going to work your way from slow cars to the ridiculous stuff, but Horizon still loves throwing cars at you and then in the end shoving them down your throat, so that feeling of starting with nothing does not really last very long. And it's a weird problem for a racing game because cars are supposed to be the reward. If I already have a garage full of monsters before I even had time to care about what I'm driving, unlocking another one just stops feeling special. And Playground clearly knew progression was a complaint. They specifically promoted the wristbands, the collection journal, and Horizon Play as separate progression paths. But the community reaction shows that changing the structure around the older world system is necessarily the same thing as making progression meaningful. And then there's the setting itself. This might be the biggest missed opportunity in the entire game, because visually Japan is gorgeous. I don't think that's controversial, but the beautiful Japanese map and a game that actually feels built around Japanese car culture are two different things. Players were expecting Japan to be more than a scenery. They wanted the location to change the identity of Horizon, deeper customizations, more tuner culture, more reasons to build weird sweet cars, stronger atmosphere, and events that can just be moved into another Horizon game without changing much. Instead, one of the most repeated criticisms, this is still Horizon, just in Japan. And I think it's a little unfair because the location itself does change quite a lot of things. things, but I understand where the criticism is coming from. If you're taking the series to the home of the most iconic tuner cultures in the world, update the Forza era and a few body kits don't really feel like the giant customization overhaul people imagined. Even the live service content has started getting this criticism. A recent community discussion blew up because players felt the game wasn't taking enough advantage of Japan and has slipped back into the same weekly checklist mentality. Other players pushed back and pointed out that the first season was heavily Japanese and Forza has never been exclusively about cars that the country is set in. And that's fair. I don't need every car to be a Skyline. Like, I got enough of those, I'm gonna be honest. But the fact that this argument keeps happening says something. People didn't just want the Horizon map located in Japan. They wanted Japan to force Horizon to become something different. And I think that's the actual problem. Forza Horizon has become incredibly good at being Forza Horizon. Maybe a little bit too good. The handling works, the car looks great, the map is beautiful, and there's an absurd amount of things to do. The game constantly gives you something new, and every few minutes the map lights up with another race, challenge, reward, collectible, or a notification. But after Horizon 3, 4, and 5, that structure is extremely familiar. Horizon 6 changes the setting, improves the map, adds progression, and clears up a bunch of smaller things, but underneath all of it, you're still interacting with the formula that has barely changed its priorities, and that's why it's Horizon 5 in Japan keeps appearing in discussions, even though that statement obviously ignores a lot of genuine improvements. And what people are saying is, I know exactly how this game is going to make me feel after 20 hours because I already played this structure for hundreds of hours. And for a new player that might not really matter at all, Horizon 6 might be the best place to start if I'm being honest. But for someone who's been here for years, Japan was supposed to be the excuse to shake everything up. And that brings us back to that number. Horizon 6 reached an all-time peak of 301,000 concurrent players and a little bit more. I'm gonna give them credit where credit is due. And its average during May was almost 200,000, and then it slowly started dropping all the way down, where in the last 30 days it's sitting at roughly 21,500. And again, these are Steam concurrent player numbers, they do not include Xbox or Game Pass, and comparing a launch game directly to an average 3 months later does make the decline look as dramatic as possible. And this does not prove that Forza Horizon 6 is dead. It isn't. In fact, while I'm making this video, tens of thousands of people are still playing it on Steam alone. But player retention is still part of the story. A game can launch successfully and still struggle to turn that launch hype into long-term obsession. And Horizon 6 had an advantage most games would kill for. It wasn't trying to convince people to care about Forza, people already cared. It wasn't trying to sell in Japan. People had already been asking for it. And it had the audience, it had the setting, it had the hype. The difficult part was giving those players a reason to stay excited after the novelty wore off. So did Forza Horizon 6 fail? I don't really think so. And I think calling it a failure actually makes the criticism less valid. It's a successful game, it's heavily played, its overall Steam reputation is positive, the map is excellent, the driving is fun, and in a lot of ways, it is a genuine upgrade over Horizon 5. But that's exactly why it feels such a wasted opportunity. Playground finally had Japan, they had more than 300,000 concurrent players at launch, they had years of feedback about progression, customization, and increasingly familiar Horizon formula. And instead of using all that to redefine what Horizon could be, they mostly made a really polished version of what Horizon already was. Maybe that's enough, and for a lot of players, it is. But Horizon 6 isn't disappointing because it's a bad game, it's disappointing because you can see just how close it came to being an incredible one. With that being said, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys are also enjoyed the new style of videos. I kind of started basically putting in more effort into structure, so yeah, I'm just hoping you guys are enjoying it. But with that being said, thank you very much for watching again, and as always, good luck in the game.